What is up, beautiful people? Today we are going over the story of how I bought this house that's right behind me for only $5,000 and at a 2.75% interest rate in 2024. Guys, we're gonna go over the story, the seller, how we solved their problems, how I actually bought the house, the rehab that I needed to do in order to make it beautiful, and also how I am going to make money after the rehab is done. Guys, don't miss this one. It's going to be a crazy video. So, as you guys know, I network with every single real estate agent in town. So I know almost every single real estate agent in Colorado Springs. One of them brought me this house and they're like, hey, Jonah, I know you're a problem solver. I have an issue here. This seller has no equity. If he put it on the market today, he would have to write a check and lose $10,000. How would you solve this? So then I needed to ask her a question. Miss Realtor, what is the interest rate on this house? And she's like, why does that matter? And I say, it's incredibly important. Please get that information. She then goes to the seller. The seller tells her, yep, it's 2.75% interest. She tells me that, and I'm like, perfect. That means I can do a subject to on this house and save the seller. But then she's like, okay, what is that? So here's what a subject to is. Instead of me going out to a bank, having to put down 20% and then getting like an 8% interest on an investor loan, what I'm gonna do is keep the seller's mortgage in place and make payments for him. This is a win for me, for him, and for you, because for me, I don't need nearly as much cash to buy the house. It's going to be at a lower interest rate, so I can actually cash flow as a rental. For the seller, I can make it where he doesn't lose any money when he sells this house, and it's a win for you because there's still enough room in the deal to pay your commission. How does that sound to you? So the agent was like, Jonah, I think it'd be better if you just talk to the seller directly. It sounds like you know what you're doing, and I think you can actually solve the problem. So she gives me the seller's phone number. I give him a call. He's like, wow, this is incredible. Thank God you gave me a call. Nobody had ever explained this as a possible option. Everyone was telling me it's either gonna be a short sale, I'm gonna lose $10,000, my credit's gonna get screwed, but you're solving literally every single problem I have. So thank you so much. I was glad to do it. We get into contract, we have the purchase contract signed, but then lo and behold, classically, there are two major issues that hamper the process and make this thing last over 6 months in escrow. One is that he was $30,000 behind on payments. And guys, I found this out during my inspection period by looking at his mortgage statement. This is the most important thing to look for when buying a subject to house, because you are taking over all of the payments and all of the responsibilities that come with this mortgage. And then number two, as you guys have seen in the house, it needs a lot of rehab. It needs new paint. It has a little bit of black mold that needs to be remediated, along with a plumbing issue, and the deck is unsafe. So all of this was going to make the house too expensive for me to buy. So I call my friend Love Francis. She is a creative transaction coordinator, owns the company Intentional TC, and she is the best in the business. I knew she, if anyone, would be able to solve this problem. I tell her about the 30 grand in arrears, and I say, Love, is there anything we can do? How can we solve this? And she's like, Jonah, I'm gonna do my best. I make no promises. This is a really hard situation, but we're gonna try everything. And then she does. She tries loan mod. She tries partial payments. She does everything under the sun. And then she finds out there's a program from the Colorado Housing Authority that will pay off arrears if the seller meets certain qualifications. So they apply for the grant, they get it, they get all of the arrears of $30,000 paid for through this grant program, and 3 months of mortgage payments. which then saves the deal and gives me the room that I need in order to buy it. She is the best in the game. I'm gonna put her company's info below along with an affiliate code that will give you a discount because she is so amazing with these creative transactions. So the second problem was obviously the rehab. I walked this property with my contractor, Fernando, and we knew we'd have to completely replace the deck. It was unsafe. There was also a plumbing issue with leaking water and a little bit of black mold in the garage. So we knew we had to fix those two things. Then I closed on the house, we looked around a little bit more and realized certain things needed to be replaced. The furnace is $5,000, it's completely busted. We need to replace that fully. We also have to paint everything. When I first walked it, I was like, maybe we don't, but I realized that we definitely need to paint in order to get a tenant that is gonna stay for a really long time. So guys, when you're making a rehab budget, give yourself 10 to 20% of wiggle room just in case there are other things that need to be done in order to rent it out. Every time that you do this, this will be a lot better because you'll never be caught off guard once you close on a real estate investment. So as we're doing the rehab, I'm exploring two possible exit strategies. One is a Section 8 rental, and then the other is a lease option. Section 8 rental investing is a government program that subsidizes the rent of lower income families. It is awesome because I can usually get a slightly higher rental rate than if I just rented it out to a long-term tenant. Not only that, but the rent is guaranteed by the government. The tenant is only responsible for a small portion of the rent, while the government is responsible for most of the rent, which makes it where my rent is guaranteed every month, no matter what happens. COVID, something with the tenant, I always get my check. The downsides are that there are inspections that the government does that have to happen every single year. The rehab is generally more than a normal long-term investment. And also, these are lower income tenants. So they're not gonna treat your property as well as most long-term rental tenants. But either way, it can still be an amazing strategy. A lease option, also commonly known as rent to own, is a great option for those wanting to own the home. It's two separate contracts. One is a lease, a normal lease, and the other is the option to buy the house. So it's an amazing way for someone who maybe can't qualify for a mortgage right now to start working towards home ownership, which is the American dream. The pros of a lease option are insane. To start, you get a huge option fee at the very beginning, generally 3 to 5% of the purchase price. On this house, that's 10 to 20 grand. On top of that, the rental rate is usually $100 to $200 above the normal rental rate. And also, I as a landlord don't have to do any maintenance. Because the renters are being prepared to be homeowners, they do all of the small maintenance things. Toilets, sinks, anything that's low cost, they do, and then I only have to deal with really big things like if the furnace went out or if there's something wrong with the roof. The main con of a lease option is the loss of appreciation. Guys, at the end of your option period of 3, 4, 5 years, you're going to have to sell this thing probably 90 to 95% of the value of the house. This was the whole reason the renters were willing to do this type of agreement, was to get a good deal on a house in the future. They'll have an easier time buying the house and becoming a homeowner. Any of the other cons of this are the exact same as a long-term rental. Maybe they leave, maybe they don't pay rent, but the main con is the loss of appreciation at the end of the option period. And guys, you really wanna make sure you have at least 2 to 3 exit strategies whenever you're buying a real estate investment just like this house. All right, guys, if you want to learn exactly how to buy houses just like this one, like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I drop a YouTube video that's teaching you how to find these houses, how to do the rehab, and make it so that you become a real estate investor that's making a ton of freaking money.